We're good.
Welcome to Voyage Consulting and Business Solutions After Hours Ask the Experts series. My name is Margarita Estrada and I'm the COO of Voyage. And I'm here with my colleagues, Darlene Blanco, CEO, and Mario Lewis, CFO. Thank you for joining us from Eastern, Central, Mountain, and Pacific time zones. We are happy to have you. Remember, grow your business with Voyage, ignite your career with Voyage, and start your voyage when? Today.
Great.
For value-added content, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Start Your Voyage, and join us on LinkedIn. So today we have a particular problem. An employee has just started working for a company straight out of college. Everyone gets along with him, he gets along with them. But here's the issue. He still feels lost, out of sorts. It's almost as if he's trying to learn a new language that he does not understand. So did you know that every company, every profession has their own language? And that language that you're going to learn in that particular organization, the skill required is similar to the skill that it takes to learn a new language. So Mario, take us away from that.
That's a great topic and very relevant to what we're probably experiencing today. That you're right. Every company and every function in that company has a different language, and it makes the reason why it is such is because it makes business and transactions easy, and it becomes a part of that culture of that organization or of that group. So, like for example, in finance, using terms like ROI, P&L, all these acronyms and words become a part of how you execute your daily work. And if a person coming into an organization doesn't learn the language, it is easy to feel like an outsider, that you're not getting it, that you don't fit into the culture, and the longer that it takes to get there provides meaningful challenges for that individual. So you are absolutely correct. It is important for as you step into an organization to be prepared to learn the lingo, learn the language, and do all the necessary things so that you can fit in and that so you can be productive, and will help you with your career trajectory. I'll hand it to you, Darlene, to kind of build up because I know in industries you've worked, there's definitely a clear language to be learned and taught and experienced.
Absolutely. And when you're thinking about this all, it all falls into that business etiquette, office etiquette, how we behave in these environments. And honestly, I want to tap on something interesting that's not in our script tonight, but I think it's probably goes with our conversation. Oftentimes, we've been hearing, especially in today's new evolving workforce, being authentic at work. And when you're bringing your authentic self to work, what are some of these boundaries that our newer folks that are joining the workforce really need to be cognizant of? Not only do we really need to understand the office etiquette, but what language, as Mario mentioned, lots of different acronyms, especially if you're in that finance industry, you're struggling there a little bit. Write them down, do your homework, study. They keep coming back. They're not going anywhere. But I will say, when we're thinking about, being authentic and bringing our full selves to work, really understanding that while we're newer to the environment, we'll need to flex a little bit and probably make some changes. For example, if you're not accustomed to maybe business casual or a business setting workplace, a lot of times maybe a tie is appropriate or dressing a certain way in our professional atmosphere, and it won't call for being able to be in blue jeans and sweaters. So there's just a lot of little nuanced things that some of the newer folks coming into the workplace should really be cognizant of, because language also comes out of what our attire looks like and how we're presenting ourselves day to day.
Wow. I never even thought of that, but it's so true. We speak a language with how we dress. How interesting. So remember, folks out there, what language are you speaking with how you dress and how you look? And that aligns perfectly into cultural immersion, which is our next bullet. So learning a foreign language teaches us cultural sensitivity, which directly applies to understanding diverse global business environments and consumer needs. So the way we speak also has to do with culture within that same organization. And the higher you go in the business hierarchy, or let's not even talk about, let's say you're going to be a plumber, you're going to be an electrician, you have to know the language. You're going to be a truck driver, you have to know the language. So no matter where you are, if you want to go higher up, you have to know that language, especially if you want to get into those rooms where things happen.
Yeah.
You have to know the lingo, right, Mario?
Absolutely. So like when you said cultural immersion, that made me think about, so when the person is first coming into an organization, it is important to find who are your circle, who are the mentors, supporters, and sponsors, and even team members who are going to continue to guide you along what that culture is around that organization. So they will help you with the language, they will help you with the attire, they will help you with the appearance, they will help you with all of the different things that will help you to fit in nicely. So cultural immersion, whether it's a foreign country or a foreign company or anything that is different from the norm. I mean, my background is in finance, and there's definitely a certain rhythm and language to everything that you do within finance. There's almost even a certain approach. So if you think about as you grow, especially if you want to grow in that organization, you'll notice that when you go to meetings with the senior leaders, pay careful attention to the cues that they have. How are they dressing? How are their team members dressing? How are they communicating with each other? That is a significant part of the language because the truth is, when it comes to the most senior levels, people want to do business with people they like and people who feel that they are somewhat like them or where they have a connection with. And learning the language allows you to connect. So with that, I want to hand it to Darlene again to kind of build on some of those on connecting. And I love the points that you raised about being. How do you be your authentic self while still learning the language of that organization?
Yeah, and that's definitely a point I really love to highlight because one of the things I recognize over the years is that little by little, we are bringing a new, younger, more diverse work environment in. You know, these folks are joining us. Our Gen Zers are the newest ones in the mix, and
Hmm.
they're bringing their own style, they're bringing their own way of communication skills. It used to be phones would ring off the hook in the office all day long. Now it's no, actually, we want it in writing. We want to be able to, so we've shifted a lot of our communication so that we have some data to support it, meaning like written documentation of the things that we're asking about. We want to really streamline communication in these settings because as things are changing, so are those communication styles. And a lot of the times effective work gets lost in translation. Like, how are we supposed to get to this said outcome? What are the goals that we need to complete? How are we assessing those milestones, reaching those milestones? And if we're not communicating on that same page, a lot can get lost in translation. So there's a bigger call for written communication than there was ever before. It used to be a spit and a handshake. Those days are out the window. The trust factor, just because why? We became different in how we're juggling so many different things in terms of even the level of technology and how quickly we need to respond. The emails are there. We have to quickly pivot and respond and be reactive. Lots happening there. But the one thing that I do want to just touch on, if you're really trying to be impressive to your executive leaders, if you're trying to get that promotion, always be with your pulse on those outcomes. Everyone is getting together in that room for a said purpose. What is the mission? Are we working? Is the strategy compelling? Are we going to get to the end results? If you can continue to work on that, your executive leaders will always know your value in the room.
Awesome.
You're so right, Darlene. Think about it this way. Whenever you hear someone speak your native tongue, how do you feel? Your heart races because you found a person that speaks your language. And it's the same way in the business world. When you find someone that you align with, your values, your integrity, uh, how you understand one another. You're so excited because you're aligned with that person. In a sense, you're speaking each other's native tongue, right? So right? You're speaking each other's native tongue, and that takes practice. It takes fluency. So the more you become knowledgeable of your company's language and the people you associate with, and be inquisitive, ask questions. What did you mean by that acronym? What does that mean? Do your homework. It's okay to ask questions. Questions are never dumb. Ask them and then write down the responses, because as you start building your mental and physical library, guess what? You're going to increase your chances of advances. Mario?
Awesome. But before I comment and build on your themes, Margaret, I want to just make sure the audience knows that if you're enjoying this value-added content, please follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel with the handle at Start Your Voyage, and follow us on LinkedIn. You'll find some interesting articles and content, and it'll help you to become a Voyage insider. So remember, ignite your career with Voyage, grow your business with Voyage, start your voyage today. Love the thumbs up. To the points that you're raising is that if you think about when you are going into a new environment and you don't know anyone, when you hear somebody right speaking in your native tongue or the language of your company, you immediately feel that connection, and that's I think what's important to think about as you are learning the language. It is a connecting force for you. So it doesn't matter if you're in finance, operations, software, or another part of the business. Learn the lingo, learn the terms, and because one of the things people don't realize, it helps you solve problems faster. It helps you think faster. It makes things go so much smoother in your day-to-day function when you know it, rather than people having to stop and explain things to you, which is why there are mentorship programs put in place so that new people entering the organization have an on-ramp upon which to learn those things even faster. And the faster you're able to go through those types of programs, it helps you to build the connections you need. They'll be the launch pad to your success. So take the time to join those programs. Find the people who are putting them on. Uh, find the acronym handbooks. Be knowledgeable. Because they have them for the big organization. They
They
have,
do. They do.
and it is so critical because the amount of time it takes to ramp up in an organization, speed that time up so that you can get in the game faster, and it will be transformational for your career. I'll hand it to you, darling.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It is so transformational for your career. And one thing I really want to also emphasize here is two kind of points that we heard in the discussion today. A little bit about asking questions and how important that is. And that is so important because I'm going to bring you to a funny because I'm all about the humor. Because I reflect back and I remember my younger kind of naive self. I'm like, I'm going to the conference room. I have my portfolio and all the information I need. I've studied the data. I'm ready for this meeting and I'm going to show up and I'm going to sit around and folks are feeling intimidated. They're also feeling that competitive edge of their counterparts around the room. Leadership is tough, right? Because you're trying to climb and there's how many leadership roles? I mean, seriously, it's a competitive landscape. So when you're showing up for that room and that meeting, you're really bringing all of your self, even a little bit of imposter syndrome too. You're like letting it all go, like, oh, do I? You've got this. You're convincing yourself. Fast forwarding to the point, I've been in so many conference rooms where I didn't have the answers. I wasn't sure and I wanted to ask questions and I didn't. And I stood quiet for so
Yeah.
many years. And it's so sad because what I realized later on in my career was half the people sitting at the table all had the same questions, but
Absolutely.
nobody's
Yes.
there.
Yep.
So I am the biggest question asker now, and I'm not shy to do it. And I realize what also happens in that space is you're allowing other members in that room and in that team to see that vulnerable side of you, but also to be able to kind of connect with you. As Mario was mentioning, you need to be able to build connections in the workplace. And when folks have questions, that really shows that they have an active interest in the material, the information that's being presented, or that they have an active interest in taking a different approach and maybe applying a different perspective. So there's lots of different ways that we can use this time. For question asking is so relevant. Never feel like, oh, if I ask a question, I'm going to feel like I don't know anything, and they're going to give her the promotion or him the promotion because they know the stuff and I don't know the stuff. And the truth of the matter is they have the same questions you do. Everyone is just trying to show off, right? Like,
Absolutely.
and let the work speak for itself and be visible, because guess what, folks? They also want to hear your voice in the conference room,
Mhm.
because if you don't have questions, then that means that if you are in a room and you're negotiating a contract, are you the best person to have on the bench sitting next to me?
Mhm.
Think about that.
Yep.
And remember that the word question, when you break it down, what's the beginning? Quest, right?
Yes, sir.
So you are constantly on a quest to learn a new language, to understand it, and then to internalize it, right? So the more that you follow those steps of questioning and internalizing, then you begin to grow, you begin to expand your horizons, and you begin to move up that business ladder in whatever organization you happen to be in, or whatever, you know, what is it? Oh, in whatever career that you happen to choose. Knowing another language also allows you to expand on an international level if that is where you want to go. It allows you to have open-mindedness about other cultures and different points of view. And it just helps you all around, both in your social, your business life, your professional life. It allows you to grow. And isn't that what we're all about here? It's all about growing. Mario closes.
Absolutely. I think part of it is the mindset. So when you're coming into an organization, you should be filled with enthusiasm to learn about about the organization, learn about the culture, because once you are quickly able to that, then you're able to pivot, you're able to flex. But it's with that open mindedness, that willingness to learn, it's a true attribute, because it doesn't matter. Let's say you're going into a different part of the business. That willingness and energy and what you put into it helps to show what kind of attitude and approach you're bringing, and it draws people in. So part of it is doing it also helps you to build that muscle, which allows you to be flexible, allows you to be resilient. It allows you to attract people, allows you to connect with the organization. So I like to select people who have that type of mindset, who have that type of approach to their work, because those people will be ultimately be successful. And to build on what you're saying, Margaret, those people, you can put them in international assignments, because they may not know the language of the place they're going, but they're going to find a way to adapt to learn into that language so they can become fluent in conversation with the people who are in that location, and they will win those people over as well. And those type of people, you can put them in any type of environment to be successful. And isn't that the type of people you want to be work with? People who you can throw into any problem, into any environment, to any challenge, and they're going to always find a way to come above it. But I think those types of people, uh, they 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 often early in their career have had mentors or supporters who've taught them how to use that type of muscle in order to be flexible and open-minded, so they can learn and they can be attract those people who will help them to be successful. And I think, Darlene, you look like one of those types of people
Yes,
who can be
I
flexible and pivot in any situation.
am. I am, and that's you touched on so many different things. We all did tonight, and your journey is not a single person journey, right? You need
Mhm.
to have those supporters, that inner circle, those mentors around you. If you don't have them in your workplace, seek them out. This is why organizations like Voyage exist. We can help
Right.
talk you through some of these challenging
Mhm.
situations and nuances, and lots of different perspective that can help you in your day-to-day thinking and decision making as you approach your career and as you develop and want to take on more responsibility. I always talk about accountability and recognizing that if one day you want to be a leader, you have to be the greatest manager of yourself first. Leadership does not give the keys to someone who's not doing a good job of handling their own, selves. And I say that with a lot of confidence because I already know that it doesn't matter how many years of experience you have, how old you are, or how much education you have. It all comes down to, the accountability factor. Are you able to achieve those outcomes? Are you connecting and being able to motivate and influence the right folks around you? Are you the negotiator in the room that we need when we really need that pair of eyes and someone who's going to raise their hand and say, hey, wait a second, I have a question. I mean, these are important things, and they are also a reflection on almost that uncomfortable place that leaders often have to position themselves in.
Yeah.
So if you're able to take those steps and perform those actions, you are on your way to growing your
Be a
career.
question asker. Be a question
Yeah,
asker.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Raise your voice.
Be a question
raise
asker.
your
Have
voice.
rhythm, like Mario said. Every language has a rhythm, right?
Mhm.
So be a question
That's it.
asker and have rhythm. Mario, close us out.
Great. I thought this is a fabulous program tonight. Thank you for putting it together. Because it's sometimes it's easy when you're embedded in an organization to think about you're speaking, but it is truly a skill to be able to come in and think about the language and the pulse of an organization and then adapt and fit in. And I hope that our program today helped you to do that. And this is evidence that shows you that we at Voyage are able to help you navigate whether it be a work situation or a school situation or just a business situation in general. So I invite you again to become a Voyage Insider because it is important to your career, your business, whether you're a student or it doesn't matter what part of your journey it is. Start your voyage today. So we'd like to wrap up here. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again next week.